Hi everybody, Carol here. Welcome. I'm making my second Christmas card of the season right now, and it's made partly with metallic silver ink. I'll explain as I go along. I may have to interrupt and to keep up with the film and tell you what I'm doing. But this is a cityscape with some holly. But I will say right now what I'm doing is I'm stamping off the cityscape, and it's just a small little stamp. So I thought I needed a stamp positioner, but as it turns out I don't. So that is why that is on there. But I'm just showing that I took the little sheet away that had the stamping on it for the positioner, and just move things out of the way, and I'm just stamping and lining up by looking at the back of the stamp and seeing how much of a border there is on the stamp. Now that one did not stamp very well, as you can see, and I do go back later off camera and restamp on top of it to give it more color. So I'm lining this up, the stamp up, and going all the way across the black. I just wanted to center it with a main stamp in the middle of the card and filling out on either side. But this is an old stamp that I have enjoyed for years. It's City Lights by let me get back to you. And I'll tell Penny Black. That's who it is. And anyway, it's just kind of like one of those deals with if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I have so many stamps that are old, and I don't care because I think they're wonderful and I use them all the time, and I have through the years. I have nothing against new stamps. I love those too. But this was the look I wanted today, and I had these. I have other cityscapes as well, but this is what I wanted to use. So on this stamp, there's also a single star. So I mounted up on a little acrylic block, and I'm just trying to see if you can catch the glimmer of the metallic. It's hard to see really. But here's the little bitty star. And again, sorry for that messy ink pad. That's horrible looking. But anyway, so I'm stamping them around randomly, not picking any special spot or like pre-thought of. But so I'm just stamping a few and to give the skylight, and trying to not make it too symmetrical, actually. And then I go back later with a stump and just right there, and then just stick it into the ink pad to get the tip of the stump covered with ink. And I'm just going to go around and make random dots to look like little stars in the background. And just do this to your heart's content, till you think you've got enough. Maybe you like a whole lot, maybe you just like a minimum amount, and place some closer together than others, some almost off the page, and just fill in. So I've done more than one of these scenes, and some I put more dots in than others. And you may have a teeny tiny dot stamp you can just use. I just picked this up because it was handy. So there you go, and there is that look. Okay, one more. Or two. So anyway, I'll start adding some more paper in a minute. This is black cardstock, as you can tell. And then I'll start bringing in, I have a sheet of patterned paper that I love. Get up close. But before I bring in the other papers, I'm going to stamp now. This is another tried and true stamp set, as you can tell, still on wooden blocks. I absolutely love this little stamp set. There are 4 stamps in it. They're not little stamps, but they're only 4. And I've just used them over and over again. Now here I decided to go ahead and stamp off. And this is still with metallic ink. I'll switch in a minute, but I thought, well, that's kind of dark, so I'll stamp off once and then come back and stamp again and see if I can get the color that I want. Then I switch to a main ink pad and of course make a mess on that, but I will get that off eventually, pretty quickly actually. And this is just a gray to show the difference in the gray and the metallic. Now this one I stamped off once and got a lighter gray, which is really what I was going for, closer to the metallic. I wanted to have a combination, or not. I was just experimenting at this point. but I do end up with a combination. On another one, it's all metallic. And then along with these leaves, there is a berry stamp, and it's a cluster of 3. So I start off stamping this with the red, and then I realized I wanted to have some silver as well, or some gray, so I had to take my time and go wash the stamp off so I could go back to the metallic. But as you see, some of those did not stamp all that well, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be cutting some of them out individually anyway, some of the berries. So I didn't really care how that turned out. And then I took the stump and just went back to do some shading. It took a little while. I could have used a marker and it would have been faster, but I was just, again, I'm kind of one of these that what's handy is what I pick up and use. And then this way you can layer it and add more and more and not start off with too drastic or a dark of a line, and then you think I'm gonna have to restamp that looks horrible. So I did this on the berries, and I did it on the leaves, down the stems of the leaves. And some of the leaves I did go back and use a marker, a gray marker, and go down the stems. As you can tell, you can see some of that shading right there on the leaf that I'm going to cut out now, because I do not have a die set for this, but that's okay because I want it to be close. And you can see up close that there is an outside line that goes around this leaf, which is another reason I love the stamp so much. It gives it dimension to have that extra line going around. I do not cut that line off. I love it. So anyway, but you can see some of the shading that I did on some of those leaves that I didn't get on camera. So I'll start stacking these up, cutting them out, and I won't bore you with that. I'll speed it up here and just cut out a couple. And then on the berries, I'm going to show you a trick that I do. First of all, I'm cutting the red berries out, and I'm only just going to cut one at this moment. Circles are hard to cut, in my opinion. But then I'm going back to the silver. I want to show you if I'm doing a cluster, and in the middle there's an open space. I want my background to show through. You can take a marker and color that in, is one way, but I just cut in enough to not separate any of them. I want to keep them intact, but I'll cut in as far as I can and cut that part out so that the background will show through. And when I set it down, you'll see what I'm talking about. See how the black shows through, and I didn't have to cut them all apart. So now I'm coming in with the paper. I have the black cardstock, is gray plaid pattern paper that you've seen before probably, and then from me, and then I'm bringing the scene in, the cityscape, bringing down some of my leaves now that they're dry, separating them. I haven't glued them down now, you can tell. I'm just experimenting with placement, and then I decide to put one of the red berries on top. So I'm going to extend this piece of paper. I realized I wanted it to be longer, and so I'm adding a piece here I did not show on camera. It's one of those apothecary jar label dies, and a stamp on there, a sentiment stamp on there, and just placing it on. Then I thought I'm going to make this even larger. It could be a scrapbook page. It could be a very large card that would go into a manila envelope of some kind, or it could just be something to frame if you wanted to personalize it, write somebody's name in the middle or whatever. So here comes down the other set of holly leaves and berries. I dropped an extra berry down to a little closer to the skyline, and then I went back later. I'm going to show you that I used some enamel dots, and I'm pointing those out and as if you couldn't see them already, but anyway, that added some color, and I like that. Now this is with the gray strips covered up. Later, there go the dots. Later you'll see the gray strips all the way down to the bottom, the whole length of the side, just to show you a variation of how you could do this. There are so many ways, as you know. Then I thought, well, I'll add one more thing, or not. I could always take it off. but I like it a lot. And there you can see the card with the gray sides on it. So this is just leftover the work that I was just playing with and stamping, just to give you an idea of what the components were of this card, and how you can always make extras and use them another day. So there's the card. Now I shortened the card here and took off all the side, the grays and the extra black, and just showed you if you wanted a smaller card, that's what it would look like. Then I'll have some more pictures here of the other card designs. So I hope you enjoy. I thoroughly enjoy doing this. I love going down memory lane and using some of these cards and stamps and papers and using them in a totally new way. So thanks for being with me. I hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now. I'm listing some other videos here at the end that you might like to see.